Hello and welcome to the FindingSpeed.com GT3 UK Tour live on Apex Racing TV. We are here for the season finale of this inaugural season at the jewel of British motorsport. It is Silverstone. My name is Travis Patrick and alongside me is Jim Hodgson, Sam Kumo operating the cameras. And Jim, I've really enjoyed broadcasting this season so far. We've been to some classic British circuits so far, and we end the season at the home of British motorsports. It's Silverstone, in order for us to decide this title.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like we've been meeting every 2 weeks for a dinner at a nice cozy pub, and here for the last the last one, we're at Windsor Castle, aren't we? This is the big time, the real deal Silverstone circuit. Absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, this is an awesome place to finish, and it's going to be getting pretty dramatic later on because it's going to be getting dark. It shouldn't be absolute pitch black by the end, but you can see already it is quite late in the evening, and so we may well end with the headlights beaming, as we did a little bit at Snetterton as well. It will be getting dramatic as well, potentially with the championship, because we're 4 rounds into this championship, and it is 2 meetings all between the two Rose brothers. They have been the class of the field so far this season, and the other drivers struggling to be able to match them up to this point. And they are looking like the couple of favourites, certainly, when it comes into this five round. It's still slightly possible for the others to get in with a chance, but going into this round, Aaron Rose leading the way with 114 points. Lewis Rose has 108 points, so 6 points is the gap. Billy Fletcher has a mathematical chance as well, albeit very slim. But basically, Lewis needs to beat Aaron by 3 places in order to win the championship. That's kind of what you need to be looking at for today's meeting. Yeah, both got 2 wins, but Aaron with 114 points out of 120. Only dropped 6 points so far this season. That's been how professional he's been, and so he does definitely go into this final meeting of the season as the big favourite, but could certainly change, and this Silverstone circuit could offer a little bit of a difference. It's been a weird season, and I must confess, we are exceptional commentators up here in the commentary box, Jim. I don't think anyone will doubt that. But even I've been fooled by the common surnames. It's really not good to have 2 drivers with the same surname battling it out for the championship, because I always get confused between the 2 of them. But the ebb and flow between the 2 of them has been quite consistent. One meeting, one driver's been faster. Heck, even the times have changed between qualifying and the race. Alton Park comes to mind, when one of them was much faster than the other in qualifying, and then all of a sudden it changed when it came to the race pace. So it really could be either one's game, I think, going into this final round of the championship. It's really hard to tell who will have the edge on pace.
Yeah, well, I think this will be, with a track the size of Silverstone, they're going to have plenty of room to run together. I doubt with a field, the size that we're seeing today, there will be much trouble with, traffic and back markers. So I think it's just going to be, as you say, between the Rose brothers. But also, as you mentioned, we've seen one of them be in the lead and then have just the tiniest little mistake, and the other will be right there to capitalize. So, yeah, I think that's what we'll be looking at today. It's going to be a tough battle, and it's going to be a really interesting race right there at the sharp end of the field.
It really is, and there's some good quality drives as well for this meeting. We are slightly depleted on numbers, but still 17 drivers to end the season is still really good. And big thanks to Russell Barnes for setting this one up, because he's the brains behind this series. He set it all up. Thanks to him for securing this broadcast. He undoubtedly came to the right place, no one's doubting that, but we've thoroughly enjoyed covering this series for these first 4 rounds, and of course tonight the 5th. And big thanks to him for yeah setting up the series. And I think everyone has had a good fun with this, and it's quite a relaxed league.
Wow.
This, it's meant to be kind of just a series for everyone. But certainly the expert on the drives that Russell's been able to drill into them has been very good, and obviously. The reason why he set this up was for kind of getting awareness for his YouTube channel and website, findingspeed.com. Many of you will be watching this stream on the Finding Speed YouTube channel, I imagine. If you haven't already, subscribe, and if you're an Apex Racing TV, go check out the Finding Speed YouTube channel, because Russell is doing all kinds of setup tutorials, driver tutorials, in order for you to improve your performance on iRacing. And for this Season 1, 2021 as well, Russell is doing the BMW M8 IMSA setup. So all the tracks on the IMSA Sports Car schedule, Russell is doing the setups for the BMW M8 for that one. Also an in-depth video guide, and of course you get the free setup. You can also get the Ghost car as well, which you can import into your iRacing system, and then you can really compare exactly corner by corner where you're losing time. And also Russell is doing tip and tutorial videos for iRacing and live streams his races most Tuesdays, Thursdays and Sundays from 9:30 UTC, that's 9:30 GMT. So certainly do check out Finding Speed YouTube channel, and also the website. It's a website as well, findingspeed.com. The first few laps have come in, and it's pretty close at the moment, and maybe a little bit of surprise who's on provisional pole.
Yeah, Fletcher was just able to take that away from the Rose brothers, as we see him here going into the pit. Aaron Rose just also pitted a second ago. He was not in the pits for very long. I wonder what that was about. But we still have plenty of qualifying left to go, so maybe kind of rolling the dice, making a quick change, looking for some clear track.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what like the tires are like for this car, because I remember a few months back it was ridiculous, the tire situation, where literally you went out on circuit, you had to crawl round to keep your tire pressures low, and then you'd go for the big lap straight after. I don't think it's quite that bad, but I just wonder maybe if for these top guys in particular, only the first lap is really possible to put in a good lap, and so they're going to be pitting after that first lap, or maybe they're doing 2 lap stints. I'm not quite sure, but the tyres are so sensitive. They change for each car, and they change month on month as well. But yeah, all those drivers going back to the pits for Luxem 24. They are the drivers occupying the top 3 places. Transfer 1 second behind at the moment. Emil Vinbo obviously got pole position 4 weeks back, Jimmy. He hasn't always necessarily shown that speed. We do know he's a very good driver. Of course, I've commentated on the Apex Racing League GT Championship before, and he's put some very good fights up against drivers in the GTE cars in that series. He's a little bit unpredictable, but if anyone's going to challenge for those top 3 places, I think it's probably going to be Vinbo.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is as you say. He certainly did. Boy, that was exciting. Just a Hail Mary P1 performance in qualifying that one time. I can't remember if that was Snetterton or
Donington.
Donington. Yeah, he just really had the measure of that particular circuit. Doesn't so far look like he's quite got that power here at Silverstone, although, still a strong 10 minutes to go. Coach just bettering his time up to P7. But, it's interesting to me, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the Rose brothers, and I'm not sure about Fletcher, but I think they were both in the Mercedes at the beginning of the series. And now we're seeing Lewis in the Lamborghini. And as I recall, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Russell decided there could be a car change during the middle of the series because of iRacing updates. Is my memory right?
Your memory is correct, yeah, because the BMW was released, and so the Z4 was dropped and the M4 brought in. So everyone got a free change, and of course also the Lamborghini was available. So a few drivers swapping there, and I think at the moment the 2 cars are pretty evenly matched. All the cars, I think, are evenly matched. I must confess, I haven't actually driven the GT3 cars for about 3.5 years, so I'm not not exactly an expert on them. Also, we don't really run them in that many series, albeit we will have a new Apex Racing League series, which will have the GT3s running. But yeah, we don't really run them that much. But I do believe that the bounce off performance is quite even at the moment between the cars. Good to see a McLaren out there. That is John McLennan. The McLaren, usually the weakest car, lightning down the straights, and also looks brilliant with the flames. Don't know if we could maybe get a rearwards view, Sam. Maybe like the rear left, or there you go. It feels like you're on fire if you as long as we've got the right camera back on. It does feel like you're a bit on fire. But yeah, McLaren looks into the McLaren out there, and about right because we are in Brits after all.
Yeah, well, the headquarters isn't too far away from, Silverstone, unless I'm very much mistaken.
It's a small place, Britain. It's a small place.
Yeah, well, yeah, and England even smaller.
Yes, yes. Unless you live where I live in Norfolk, in which case you're far away from everything.
Well, they've been sort of plagued by a little bit of bad luck, I feel I'm right to say, but I would like to see the Kairos guys have a slightly better performance today, if possible. I think we only have Tranter and Knight. Is that right?
O'Donnell lines as well.
Oh, Donald.
And Vinbo as well. Out on circuit, albeit Vinbo. Vinbo actually coming up to set a lap time now. It could be a bit dangerous for Vinbo. Also, of course, we're currently watching EJ O'Donnell lines as well, approaching the start finish line. Takes a lot of curb there. It's fantastic to see that BMW out there. I much prefer the look of that one to the Z4. I must say, looks a bit more like a proper race car rather than a sports car maybe. O'Donnell lines there not improving at 2-minute 1.6. That's about 7/10 off his best lap time, but he's gonna try to set another lap time straight away.
Yeah, well, I'd like to see them have a little bit better day. Seems like they've had some offs and some comings together. Uh, maybe some slightly optimistic attempts on a dive bomb pass that haven't always worked out. I guess what I'm saying is I see a little bit of my on track antics in the reflected in Kairos.
Yeah, that they. I feel like I had very high standards for them because obviously I set a game in plays a very quick driver, and I also remember Mark Chenta. I spoke to him as well, but apparently before in the practice session for the first race of the season, I think he was up in like third place, and he said that was literally like the lap of his life to get up into third place in practice. And I looked at that and I thought, oh wow, Mark Chance could win the championship there. Hasn't quite lived up, albeit he has put in some good race performances. And this is one of his best qualifying performances of the season. Well, up in 5th place, it's usually qualifying that lets him down. But when it comes to the race starts and generally the race pace, he is very good. Interesting line through turn 1 and 2 there, taking a very tight turn 1, opening up for 2. Of course, it really changes how much downforce you've got. If you've got lots of downforce, you can run it in deep for turn 1. As we have got a tie. We've got a tie for pole position, I believe. Because Aaron Rose has just set another time, but it is slower than Billy Fletcher. And what you got to remember, of course, on iRacing, the decimal points go down to, I believe, 7 decimal points. Unfortunately, we can't display all 7 of them. We can only display the first 3, but that is how close it is. That is remarkable. It's rare that you see that. There you can see that there is a slight difference, but it's less than 1,000th of a second between the top 2, which you could try to do that 100 times, you wouldn't make it. So that's remarkable.
Yeah, I think we just unfortunately saw Tranter lose the car a little bit in Brooklands, and I think he's just sort of decided to take a moment and reset himself.
We could. We've got 5 British drivers in the top 6 right now, which is not bad. The Scots need to pick up their game, letting us down once again in 11th and 14th. And of course, we've also got Russell Barnes as well, who doesn't do qualifying. Does Russell? Little bit of just because he's the league organizer, so he opts not to do the qualifying, and then usually storms up the field. But seeing that he's already in 16th place, he could be in for a good result at Snetterton. He wasn't far off. I think he finished like sixth at Snetterton or something. He wasn't far off the podium places as far as I recall, or maybe top four. He wasn't far off. Also, we've got Matt Jackson. He's done 6 laps apparently, Jackson, but he hasn't put in a legitimate lap time yet. There he is. I don't know why he seems to be keeping on picking up 1Xs. So he hasn't yet put in a lap time, but he's the other British driver out there in 16th at the moment, without a lap time set as we move into the last 4 minutes of qualifying.
Yeah, Aaron Rose into the pit again. I'm sure there's well, if we have an exciting race, we won't remember to ask, but I'm sure there's a good reason.
I imagine it's just for new tyres. I'm not sure. He does seem to be coming into the pits more than Lewis race, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Aaron's only done 4 laps. Meanwhile, Lewis is going to be doing 7 laps in a moment. So yeah, I think you're right that there's something going on with Aaron. But maybe he's burning up the tires quicker. Maybe he has to go for these shorter qualifying runs.
Well, he doesn't want to. I guess he'll start alongside Fletcher as things stand at the moment, but I'm sure he'd rather have pole position heading into turn 1 if he can get it. He's got a few minutes left. Well, I say that, but to get up to speed and have a flying lap in 3 minutes might not necessarily be possible.
Yeah, well, as long as he gets out with 2 minutes to go, well, he needs a bit more than 2 minutes, doesn't he? Just more than 2 minutes, and he should be all right. Lewis Rose is going to get another lap in, but yeah, Aaron's staying there. And maybe that will be the end of his qualifying session. Remember, no limits on tyres or anything in the race, in qualifying or the race. So no worries on that front. Of course, in the championship, just a reminder of the current championship situation, Aaron Rose is ahead. So Lewis Rose is the one who needs to outscore Aaron Rose. He needs to beat him by 3 places in order to clinch the title. That's what I think, at least. It would be a tie in that scenario. They're currently 2 wins all. So I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure if Lewis beats Aaron by 3 places, it will be Lewis who becomes the champion. But Billy Fletcher doing an awesome job up on pole position for the first time this season at the moment as the drivers into the last 2 minutes. And so, yeah, we're really getting into the closing stages pretty much. Yeah, you would be able to start another lap from here, but if you're now crossing the line, then yeah, this will be your last lap.
Well, I often I often think that I understand how these rules work, and I'm often taught that in fact I don't.
I think I'm overcomplicating it. I need to learn how to speak English. I don't think I'm getting my point across very well.
Nah. Looks like Bembic might have had well, he might have just pulled off track and towed himself back to the pits.
This is going to be pretty close for Aaron. This is out lap. He's having to push. He's got a minute to go, so he will probably be, Aaron Rose, the last driver across the line. There is a driver just behind him, to be fair, which is Alexander Roggenbuck behind him, but Rose will cross the line with about 20 seconds to spare, I think, to start his last lap. So this is, if he can get pole from here, this would be very dramatic scenes, very similar to Vinbo at Donington earlier on in the season.
Well, we'll know after he crosses the start-finish line, won't we? If we see that first sector go purple, then we'll know he's in with a shout.
Braden Coates has just set the fastest first sector of anyone. That's come out of nowhere. Yeah,
Nice
absolutely on fire is Braden Coates. Unfortunately, the lap has progressively got worse. It's like a dysfunctional traffic light right there for Braden Coates, and it's continued not to be that impressive, unfortunately, for him. I do remember when Dane Baird was listed as getting a purple sector, and it turned out he was like 5 seconds off the pace. But I think that was legit for Baird because you may well improve here. Currently in 7th place, he crosses the line, and he goes up to 4th,
Yeah.
best of the rest. Good luck there for Baird because that was half a second shaved off his time.
Yeah. A brilliant showing there. Would have liked to see him under 2 minutes, as I'm sure he'd like to see himself in the 159s, but a great performance there from Coates. Had a little bit of bad luck over the course of the season. I've been sort of, as one of the American drivers, I've been following him out of the corner of my eye, so to speak. So it'd be great to see him have a great result today.
Oh, Lewis Rose improves, but it's not enough. The top
Oh,
three, separated by 8/100s, that by far the longest lap of the season. Remarkably close between a lot of them. Vinbo finally puts in a good lap to move up into 6th ahead of his teammate Tranter, who's had a it's been unlucky in the last few moments. Him and Knights have dropped down 2 places with Coates and Vinbo improving, but Tranter might be able to get that one back. No personal best sectors though on this lap. Decent sector 2, but sector 1, 3 and 4 not especially good. He's actually returned to the pits there as Trenta, so no improvement for him. Coates has already reached the checker flag, so no lap time for him. Aaron Rose, yeah, I think Aaron Rose is still on a lap time, so this could be for pole position here, Aaron Rose, but it's a sea of yellow at the moment
yeah.
for Aaron. It doesn't look like it's going to be an improvement. I don't think his lap time is 6 minutes. I think that's slightly wrong. But it's not going to be an improvement anyway. He approaches the line, and what does that lap time? 1:59.8 wasn't bad, but it was still quarter of a second off pole position, and Aaron Rose will have to settle for 2nd best. But crucially, he's ahead of his brother and his championship rival, so that's a success in qualifying for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, thankfully, if I were Lewis Rose right now, I would be thanking my lucky stars that there wasn't, sort of a bigger field, because it could spell a little bit of trouble in turn one and trouble later on in the race. Will be interesting to see if Fletcher is able to hang on to this P1 finish. But congratulations to him for winning qualifying.
Yes, and considering that he's just lacked the outright pace of his teammates so far this season, that will be a very satisfying pole position for him. There it is, Billy Fletcher on pole position for this round 5 of the Fighting Speed GT3 UK Tour. In 2nd place is Aaron Rose ahead of Lewis Rose. Remember, Lewis needs to beat Aaron by 3 positions tonight in order to win the championship. Brilliant Coates lines up a brilliant 4th and Steinman Nyland, Emil Vinbo, Mark Tranter, Jack Knight, EJ O'Donnell Lyons, Igor Bembic, Jim McIntosh, Dan Okoranza with his best qualifying of the season, I believe. Matt Jackson was in 13th. There was Luke Davis, John McLennan, Alexandra Rockenbach, and Russell Barnes, who will be taking to the grid, who was just as exclaimed as us, I think, when he saw the gap between the top 2 drivers, less than 1,000th of a second, and that's really something that may not even happen between the top 2 drivers on Apex Racing 2 for the rest of the year. So certainly to savour that one. That is a remarkable qualifying that we've just seen, but the field will begin to pull away. Could we have shades of Abu Dhabi 2016, you think, Jim, with maybe if Lewis can get ahead of Aaron, do you think he might try to hold him up and bring other drivers into play? Because remember, he's got to get 2 cars between him and his brother in order to win the championship. Do you think that's a possibility, or do you think the teammates will play fair?
Well, I think they'll play fair. They've shown a lot of respect for one another on track thus far. I also don't think that's just a very good strategy. I mean, I think that we're going to see a steely-eyed stare down today, and it's going to be, who can keep their wits about them, not make any mistakes, and also have the same pace they've shown all season long. But in terms of, holding folks up and trying to get cars between other cars, I don't think that's much of a strategy.
We're about to find out then who is going to win this Fighting Speed GT3 UK Tour. An hour-long race is going to decide it. Mandatory pit stop And it's Billy Fletcher who will lead the cars away. Can be a tricky start around this place. Field is under Fletcher's control. He decides when to put the foot down, and he decides now he doesn't get much of a break, but the straight is short here. So Rose will be staying behind, going down into turn 1. Coates under pressure from Van Nylen straight away, but Coates just about hanging on to that one. Barnes already up a couple of places, up into 15th place. The cars competition cars getting racy with Bimbo, getting ahead of Van Nylen. He's very wide there, gets the inside on the next corner. That's a nice move there from Emil Bimbo to move ahead. Now his teammates behind of Mark Tranter is doing a good job at holding up Van Nylen, and he now gets past the Belgian, who has gone down the order slightly off this start. The only other changes are McLennan and Barnes gaining places, Davis and Roggenbach losing places near the back of the order, but that it was a nice Silverstone start, almost 3 wide down into Brooklands for the first time, and McIntosh with a slide, and maybe even an issue. He's back going again, but that is a shame from McIntosh, as Tranter has almost gone into the old pit lane. Massive shame there for Mark Tranter as he tries to rejoin. That's a pretty good job. Hasn't got too much damage on that car, but that's a shame because he was fighting for the top 6 place.
Well, it is a shame, and he had a great first lap up till then, was able to get some places for himself, but, you know, plenty of racing left to go. We got an hour of racing, including a mandatory pit stop, so plenty of time for Tranter to try to make that back.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll go for a little bit of an alternative pit stop, but for the guy who struggled in qualifying a bit this season, finally does get a good qualifying, puts himself into a good position. Unfortunately, a spin has hurt him. I wonder if we can maybe get a replay of that, see if it was by himself or he was helped out. Meanwhile, Russell Barnes up into 10th place, and that is why you should subscribe to Finding Speed, because this is the speed of Russell Barnes. He is so good on these first laps, and considering that we've had 5 starts this season and he's pretty much nailed every single one of them, is really a testament to his racing prowess. He's up into the top 10 already.
He is very calm and composed. He doesn't appear to be rattled at all by traffic, which is exactly, you know, what you would want to see in a guy who's starting from the pits and usually finishing in the money. So, yeah, he's definitely got the measure of this car.
McIntosh just moving ahead of Davis in the background, up into 14th place now is Jim McIntosh. There you see him just ahead of Luke Davis, one of our 3 American drivers out there. Rockenbach a little bit wide in the background, so Tranter will already be moving past Rockenbach just in the background. Up into 16th place now is the British driver, and Rockenbach a little bit slow coming out of going down the village straight right there. Pretty tight for the lead. Aaron Rose wants to get this race lead. He would love to get Fletcher between him and his championship rival, as Fletcher track extends a little bit.
Ooh.
I think so too was Lewis Rose a little bit there as well. So Fletcher's pushing hard, but Aaron, it seems at the moment, has a small pace advantage, I'd say.
Yeah, it does appear that way. He is just all over the rear of Fletcher's car. Any little loss of concentration or mistake on Fletcher's part is going to spell a pounce for Aaron Rose. And I think you're right. Having Fletcher between Aaron and Lewis would certainly fit Aaron's plans. However, it does look like Lewis is just the smallest gap away from the rear of Aaron's car, which is interesting to me. You know, you would think you'd see them 1, 2, 3 all together, wouldn't you?
Yeah, Lewis is just keeping a little bit of a gap at the moment, isn't he? And maybe that's tactical, but maybe just doesn't quite have the speed of those top 2. Bimbo got ahead of a Coates. Oh, they're so slow through that corner, and that was Coates serving a slowdown, I imagine. And then it's dropped down to 8th place. He's lost 4 places in one there. We'll have to get a replay of him track extending at Stowe and then having to serve it. Usually, I mean, I was racing the IR01 around this place, and the slowdown is absolutely stupid around this place, because you literally get on the brakes and the slowdown is served. So I'm surprised he had to slow down that much in order to serve it. Race lap 2 maybe, so maybe iRacing's calculations slightly iffy, but yeah, Coates down into 8th place, and it could have been so much worse if there was some context. O'Donnell Lyons really profiting from that, up into 6th. as we see Jim McIntosh battling his fellow Scotsman and getting ahead of his fellow Scotsman. However, just come back there, McLaren and McIntosh, they seals it, is up into 12th place.
A little bit of a scary cover off there to try to get his position to make his turn in, but it seems to have worked out well. I'm sure they're chatting about it, and they're in one another's ears talking about what's happening. I hope. But yeah, that was a kind of a scary moment there. It looked like actually Knight got into the rear of Stein Van Nylen's car, which, I think that actually worked out well for Stein Van Nylen because I think it allowed him to stay ahead of O'Donnell Lines. But I don't think that Knight's car's got any damage either. So, no harm, no foul, I suppose.
Yeah, considering that's an hour-long race, probably isn't going to affect the finishing order too much. Of course, overtaking around this pace is actually possible, which we haven't seen for pretty much all the other rounds of this season. Remember that we started off the championship at Brands Hatch, and then we headed to Alton Park. Also did Donington and then Snetterton, and really the most expansive circuits out of those lot are probably Donington Park, I imagine. And that's really not got many overtaking spaces, so this is the only proper GP circuit that we visit. And of course, soon on iRacing, within a couple of seasons, we are going to have Knock Hill as well, a legendary Scottish circuit. Pretty short, it's going to be probably maybe even sub 1 minute lap times in these GT3 cars when we visit there. But will be a welcome addition, and will shut up some of the iRacing members who have been calling for that to be added for years. Coates trying to pull some shapes there in order to get past Knights. Lewis Rose has moved ahead of Aaron Rose.
Wow.
What has happened here? So he's ahead, he's gained 2 points, he's got to gain 6 points today in order to win the championship. And that is 2 points done, so the gap in the championship is down to 4 points now, and he still needs Rose to finish in 4th place. That was the mistake, and wow, that was scary for Aaron Rose. He could have easily had a spin and dropped out of the top 5.
Is that the braking zone for Brooklands there at the end of just in the left field, I think?
Yeah, Brooklands and then Luffield.
That was quite a mistake, but we knew that the race would hinge on moments like that. Big winner here, I think, is Fletcher, who's now got his gap out to over a second, although it does appear to be coming down. Ooh. But I would think that Fletcher's rubbing his hands together now, thinking to himself, okay, I could do this. All I have to do is, all I have to do is keep it together for another 52 minutes and good to go.
Yeah, well, a lot easier said than done. But yeah, he's looking all right out there right now. I don't know really what's going on here. A few drivers are taking very odd lines. They're going very slowly coming out of Chapel. Now we also had a huge cut track for McIntosh. He completely skipped Beckett and Chapel. But then rejoined at the Hangar Straight. But Transer up into 13th place, and Transer continuing to gain those few places. Further up, Vinbo is looking very strong. I mean, Vinbo shows some good qualifying pace so far this season, but in the race, he's barely there. 2 seconds, though, off Rose, and he lost kind of most of that time on the first lap when he was battling his way up into 4th place, and that last lap he gained on all of these guys. He was 3 seconds faster than the leader. He was 1 second faster than the Rose brothers, albeit they were battling, obviously. But Vinbo's looking pretty dangerous, and obviously that is dangerous for Aaron Rose, because if he finishes in 4th place and Lewis Rose wins this race, then Lewis Rose does become the champion. So it is a little bit complex for Aaron Rose. He's still definitely the favourite, but the cards are falling into place where the potential for losing this championship is possible.
Yeah, well, they're just putting on a show for us, which is, it's certainly to our benefit. We just saw Jackson, by the way. I think that he was getting by. No, that was McIntosh passing Jackson. We just saw a moment ago. But yeah, well, we're getting quite a show. It would be great to see Vinbo get up there. And, why not? Let's throw Van Nylen in there as well. O'Donnell Lines, why not? Let's make this a whole thing at the front of the field. But interesting definitely to see Lewis get around Aaron Rose, to see Aaron have a little bit of a mistake. But mistakes do happen. And the gap between Lewis and Fletcher now down even under half a second. Well, as I say that, it goes over half a second, but ooh, a little bobble there, I think, from Fletcher.
Does seem
And
that so. So
yeah,
you go.
no, I was just being quiet because I was expecting Lewis to attempt to pass there into Abby at the end of the straight, but maybe didn't have quite enough room. It was just a moment ago we were talking about Aaron Rose would like to have a car between himself and his brother Lewis, but we may very well end up with the opposite situation. Not to count out Billy Fletcher, of course.
Yeah, it does seem so we've cursed Vinbo out there because as we were
Oh dear.
singing his plaudits, he got a slowdown, I think, through Chapel, not Chapel, Beckett's. I don't know how accurate the iRacing map is. I'm going to have to Google the map, but it's tricky with those kind of SS sections that pick up which one's which. Anyway, Vinbo got a slowdown and he's just dropped down to second place. So I was quite excited that Vinbo was fighting in the top three, but just those errors creeping in for Vinbo. He does race on the limit and running a little bit too far there. I think he'll still probably get fourth place in this race. Vinbo looks very quick before those mistakes as Russell Barnes 11 seconds off the lead. By the way, Barnes was 9 seconds off the lead after the first lap. So in the last 5 laps, Barnes has lost about 2 seconds. So the race is that's how fast he is. He would undoubtedly have been probably 3rd or 4th in the championship had he done qualifying this season. Even saying that, he is still doing pretty darn good in the championship. He's not that far off some of the higher up positions. I'm desperately trying to find the points at the moment. He is in 10th place. 10th place, which you can see he starts on the back in every single round is not bad. And at the moment, he would be ahead of Robert Lancaster and Mark Tranter into the top 8 and Christian Wirtz as well. So maybe even top 7 for Barnes. If it's ended like this and he is catching up to that big pack of cars right now, this could get tasty from everyone from Van Nylen all the way down the order as Vinbo moves back up into 5th place, is back ahead of O'Donnell.
Yes, indeed. And we just saw Fletcher turn the fastest lap of the race so far at 2 minutes with just a 5.4 there in the final 2 numbers after the decimal point there. A little bit of a snarl of cars here, isn't it, led by Vinbo? A big pack of Kairos and Barnes there, I believe. No, Coates, excuse me. But Barnes has caught up to Coates, when they were just going down the Hanger Straight, or very nearly has anyway, when he was just turning out of Chapel onto the... Oh, dear. Vinbo has lost his car just in the last complex. No, he said that was Brooklyn's.
It used to be the last complex for 60 odd years, to be fair. So you're not far wrong. Losing the car and Vinbo, he doesn't make it easy for himself. I'm looking forward to the Apex Racing League GT Championship, which will be returning in a few weeks' time. Hopefully he'll be taking part in that league because he's always a very entertaining driver. In a few weeks' time, I'm not actually sure when it will be. The next season of this FindingSpeed.com series, there's going to be an American tour. We're going to be visiting American classic circuits. And that will be an upcoming season. Can't give too many details about when that will be precisely, but it will be happening. So there is a link to the Discord, I believe, in the YouTube chats at the moment. And if you click on that, then that will be the place to see all the announcements for that upcoming season. And also, of course, if you check out the FindingSpeed.com website as well, then eventually details on that will be posted. So very exciting that the American series will be starting up as well. And I'm sure there'll be a good legion of drivers waiting to sign up for that one. Can't wait to see 30+ cars for round 1 of that championship. Top 3 closer than ever. Top 3 separated by 1 second at the moment. Fletcher leads Rose. Lamborghinis ahead of the Mercedes at the moment. They all seem quite happy there. Of course, a little bit of fuel saving perhaps for the two Rose brothers. Even just staying in the slipstream of the driver ahead. You don't even need to be lifting and coasting, but just staying in the slipstream will save you quite a bit of fuel. And of course, if you can save just 2 litres for the second half of the race, then that could potentially be a second in the pit lane. And when the field is so close as this, that can be the difference between first and third place. So it's looking pretty good for the two Rose brothers, but I'd be hard-pressed to call a winner.
Yeah, no question. And, I believe early in the season at Brands Hatch, if I'm not mistaken, I think we saw Fletcher pulling some sort of pit stop magic that put him sort of between the Rose brothers. It has been a few weeks, so forgive me if my memory's not serving me, 100%. But yeah, it could come down to, as you say, saving a little bit of fuel and getting out of the pits a little bit faster.
I believe on that occasion, Lewis Rose got a pit lane penalty. He went in the pits the wrong way, cut the entry line. I think that enabled Fletcher to get in between them, and I think Lewis may have even finished down in about 5th position in that round. And you look back at the season where the two Rose brothers had barely faltered. Fletcher unfortunately missed a round of the championship. That's kind of why he's out of it, but he's kind of been usually I think every race that he's done, Fletcher, he's finished on the podium, so he has been very impressive this season. But yeah, if he hadn't have missed the Donington round, I believe it was, he would have been right with those guys. But yeah, unfortunately, just a little bit adrift due to missing that round. Barnes in 8th place. He is now 12 seconds off the lead, but for the first time in this race since lap 1, he's actually got cars ahead of him. And they're all queuing up behind EJ O'Donnell lines. He's got his teammate Jack Knight, apologies, right on his tail, and then it's Braden Coates and Russell Barnes who we're riding on board with. Barnes usually quite conservative when it comes to these moves, but he's going to have to get his elbows out if he's going to make up any places.
And I doubt very much that he will. Not, his whole sort of philosophy here is to help the community and help his drivers. That's why he starts from the rear of the pack. And I'm sure that he wouldn't want to risk, any sort of argy-bargy on track with these guys. But if the opportunity presents itself, he's happy to take it, I'm sure. He's got his Senna shirt on after all, so should be able to put down some pretty fast laps.
Coates right on the tail now of Knight. That was a brilliant run through Magnus Beckett, then through Chapel onto the Hanger Straights. Fortunately for Knight, he's got a slight draft from his teammate, but the wide entry into Stowe will surely give the advantage to Coates as the inside line. Trying to get out of the throttle, I think, for a second. They almost make contact going down into the Vale, and that was a good move there from Coates. Drove it in deep into Vale and then Club, but did manage to get track position. He's already latched right onto the back of EJ Donald lines. Remember, Coates qualified up in 4th place. He lost a few places off the line. And he hasn't really shown that much pace ever since. I mean, he hasn't really been moving forwards or anything, but all of a sudden seems to be the fastest driver out of these 4. Slight mistake through Abbey, but he might well have a chance down into Brooklands.
Does seem that he's just gotten his head down a little bit and sort of gotten the car under himself and gotten settled. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, just looking at the cars the way they are on track at the moment. If Coates were to have a little look at O'Donnell lines, this might be the time to do it down into Brooklands. And he does indeed have a look at the inside, but maybe not quite close enough this time by.
Just noticed that he's got quite a haunting helmet on, does Braden Coates. I believe a skull on that kite. You can just see it there, which I hope we don't display that mid-race, or near the end of the race when it's dark. I may have a slight fright, I think, as all the drivers are track extending. Coates might be moving ahead here. He'll go around the outside. This is risky, guys. Oh, that was a slide. Well held from O'Donnell Lines. He drove it in deep. His spacecraft so far, O'Donnell Lines, is probably the best of anyone in this midfield. He hasn't made any mistakes. He does look the slowest out of these four, but he's been the one who hasn't made mistakes. So he's in 5th place. And we'll have to maybe defend going into straight. It's starting to get properly dark now that the headlights are starting to cast some proper light onto the track as he runs wide. Does O'Donnell Lines will have the inside for Vale, but last time Coates was very strong on the brakes into this corner. They're both not giving up. Coates with the slight advantage, a slight wiggle there for O'Donnell Lines, so he's going to have to be looking behind him rather than ahead now, because there goes Jake Knight, but he can't get past. Jack Knight, apologies. And it is Barnes who does make up 1 place. They're all tripping over one another. Oh, that's ambitious there from Knight to try to come back there, but no, it's Barnes up into 7th and it's Coates up into 5th.
Yeah, really, some great work there on Barnes' part. If I do say so, there were some dicey moments there, as you mentioned, but Barnes now looks like he might, Coates, have a little bit of a gap on O'Donnell Lines. It'll be interesting to see if he's able to sort of make that into anything. Barnes here has a look on the inside of O'Donnell Lines. And not quite close enough, although O'Donnell Lines is running wide at left field there. So Barnes might be able to get a run on him and have a little pass down the old straight. Looks like he will. They're alongside one another now.
That's nice car positioning there from Barnes. He should have the upper hand, albeit the inside is tricky to make stick going into Copse Corner. It's such a fast-flowing corner. They're both trying to keep it within the lines, at least. Barnes is going to lose out on this one here. And no, that was a really good drive there from O'Donnell Lines. Once again, it's good spatial awareness from him. He's not letting these positions go. He is losing quite a bit of time though to the likes of Van Nyland, who remember was battling with these guys earlier on. He's 6 seconds up the road though now. So in a different county, as seems like an earthquake is happening in the background there. I assume, was that just a cat knocking something over or something?
Yes, my apologies. Very unprofessional, but so it goes.
Oh, slow down for O'Donnell Lines. Dude, that's a slight curse again for a car. Vimbo's caught up to these guys. That's how quick Vimbo is. He had a spin a while back, and he's just waltzed up to the back of these drivers and back in the fight for 6th place. But he's cut out the mistakes.
You know, I have to say, I turned a couple of laps earlier in the day here at Silverstone in the pitch black dark in a car with the headlights on, just as these will be. And I have to tell you that complex, the Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel is probably the toughest part. Although, that sort of inside complex of Village, the Loop, Aintree, also very tough. But you need to know this track just... frankly, it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting to see these guys once it gets even further dark.
There's not particularly good lighting around this Silverstone circuit. I don't think there's really that many 24-hour races that occur. There is the kind of the traditional 24 hours, which is held by various motorsports organisations who kind of, but there's always like a staple 24-hour race. But obviously WEC hosts a 6-hour race. They were meant to do a 4-hour race last season. I'm not sure if they actually did it in the end. Yeah, I think they did. I think that was 2019. I don't know. But yeah, WEC is totally in the day. So the floodlights aren't usually tested around this place too much. And also, probably more importantly, I don't think iRacing actually added in the floodlights. It takes a little bit of work for them to add in the floodlights. And as per, they have been slacking slightly on actually adding all these features, a bit like AI, to the various circuits. So yeah, it will be very dark for these drivers, no doubt about it. Here comes Lewis Rose, trying to go for the lead. It was a mistake from Billy Fletcher. Oh, there's going to be contact surely between the teammates, but they keep it on, driving it in very deep for the first part of Abbey. And here comes Aaron Rose trying to profit from this. Remember, he's the one. He just needs to finish 3rd place, and that will be the title. But he's trying to go for 2nd position here, and he is ahead. Lewis Rose not with a very good run through the loop, and it is the Rose brothers who swap positions again. But back comes Lewis Rose, who's got the draft from the race leader, and he's drawing ahead, going into Brooklands. Again, these guys wouldn't guess their teammates. You would certainly guess that this is for a championship because they are leaving nothing on the limit. Slight understeer there for Lewis Rose. But I think that understeer's just put Aaron Rose slightly offline, and it's Lewis who gets ahead, but the battle's still not over. Once you kind of resist going into cops, you should be alright. Putting the car in the middle of the circuit, that should pretty much cover off the move for Lewis Rose. And he does keep that second place, but real nice driving and real respectful driving from these guys for the race lead.
And they're alongside one another yet again as we go through that Beckett's Chapel complex. The Rose brothers battling it out, showing a lot of respect for one another as they always do, but just millimeters from one another in some of the most technical sections of the racetrack today. And meanwhile, Fletcher scampering away as anyone would with the brothers fighting there behind him.
To the outside again. Remember, these guys, that's a slide for me. It does seem like a lot of these drivers are really driving in the car deep and maybe running a bit of oversteer. So I've seen so many drivers slide, but then they always seem to be in control at the same time. It seems to be the best way. Oh, he managed to get part of his car alongside him. This might just be the move here for Aaron Rose. Lewis Rose will have to leave space. And he left a car's width of barely more than that. They're now 2 seconds off the race lead, and we're about 10 minutes away from the pit stop sequence. But it's Lewis Rose who once again holds on to second place, but his brother is absolutely hounding him. And with the layout of this Silverstone circuit, with kind of the couple of long straights that we have around this track, in fact 3 long straights we have around this track, there's really no relief, and you can get into a repetition of the bending if you're not careful.
Well, look at what it's doing to the gap that Fletcher has on the Rose brothers. He's now got a gap of 2 seconds. Coates.
He's off the it's off the circuit. Shame for Braden Coates, who was pulling away. You could see he was pulling away from Russell Barnes and Jack Knight and co, but then he's made a mistake and couldn't hold on to it.
Lost it at the farm. Well, he'll be annoyed, I'm sure. As you say, he was having some, was showing some great pace and was pulling away from that little pack there. But so these things go.
I think he, how far is he behind? He's 5 seconds behind. Barnes, of course, up into 5th place. I think we missed that one. But yeah, Barnes up into 5th place. So nice work from him. O'Donnell's down into 8th. So he lost out quite a bit. Binbo managed to get past him, so I think Coates will be able to catch up to O'Donnell, but I'm not sure if he'll be able to catch up to the others. But Barnes in a very impressive 5th place at the moment. There goes Binbo now on 9th. They are teammates. I think that's the second time that Knight has let past Binbo in this race. Yeah, second time they let him past. Binbo up into 6th place. He's got Russell Barnes. Binbo could still get P4 out of this, but it is annoying because when he's been in clear air, he's actually been matching the leaders. Binbo is flying out there, but it's just these small areas which keep on creeping in, which is quite destructive in his quest for a good result.
Yeah, I've certainly had those moments on track myself where I feel like I've got, I understand my car, I understand the track, but when it comes to, getting my elbows out and dicing it up with other cars, I sometimes tend to lose a little bit of time. And I think that's because I'm not a very good driver.
That's real driver coach tuition right there, just telling the driver, yeah, you're not very good, mate. Let's try another sport. It is the most talent oriented sport, I would say, is motorsport. You can train hard. I shouldn't really be saying this, considering that this is, a series for driver tuition. But driver tuition you can certainly improve on, obviously, and setups make a huge difference in iRacing. So you should certainly go to Finding Speed's YouTube channel and website. But that absolute top level, you're capped. It's just that instinctive thing where just like simple things where you were like looking to the apex earlier. That's just like a pure intuition thing that you're born with. And it's very tricky to learn all of that stuff. So yeah, basically, long story short, yeah, you're just not very good. Kate's in ninth place, trying to get past O'Donnell Lines. He's already overtaken O'Donnell Lines in this race, but he's having to do it again. He's 4 tenths of a second behind at the moment.
Yeah, they're having a great battle out there. I mean, you know, even if I don't know, even if Coates might feel like he was performing a little bit better, maybe now he's having a little bit more fun now that he's having an actual on-track battle with O'Donnell Lines again, rather than trying to chase down some of the slightly faster folks as they take a very interesting line. Goes Coates through Vale and loses a little bit of time.
Yeah, it seems like sometimes Joes can absolutely nail a few corners and then they get into one, particularly those slow speed corners, and just almost have a clumsy slide. It kind of holds up their momentum, and that is, seems what happened to Coates.
Oh
Ooh,
dear.
so we've got Luke Davis. How has he done that? I don't even know what part of the second. I think that's Stowe.
So, yeah.
I don't know how you do that, so we're about to find out.
Well, you dip a wheel under braking. That's going to be my prediction.
Oh, genius.
He's gotten pretty lucky with the wall, though, in that he didn't hit it. Terrible place to be stopped on track, but he gets going again. Yeah. Yep, if you dip a wheel under braking, that is you going around, my friend.
Yep, and at a loss of probably 8 or 9 seconds right there. And it is pretty easy to do around Starcross. Track kind of kinks slightly to the right just beforehand. Yeah, I've also got the curb as well just before you turn in, albeit you are braking before the curb appears. 2.4 seconds is the gap between the top two. It's kind of maintained ever since we had that bounce between the two roses. One could say the war of the roses.
Oh boy.
That's the most sophisticated joke I've ever made.
Oof.
So
Barnes into the pits.
Barnes is into the pits. Yep.
He's going to take a nap after that joke.
Yeah. Take a sigh. Yeah. Sorry about that, everyone. That just came into my mind. Call it talent. I don't know. But yeah, I'm really proud of that. Yeah, Barnes coming to a stop now. You lose a lot of time in the pit lane here because the pit lane is limited to 60 miles an hour, which too fair I think it is at most other circuits, but it still feels like an age when you're trending down.
It does, and I think Barnes has probably just said to himself, you know, I don't want to do any better in this race, so I might as well be the first one to pit. You know what I mean? I mean, he purposely does everything he can to sort of handicap himself. A little bit of a bobble there, it looked like, from McIntosh. But does everything he can to handicap himself. He said at the beginning of the season he doesn't want to hand himself a trophy. So he kind of does everything he can to put himself back there.
Well, I'd love it if he accidentally decided the championship as Jim McIntosh moves up into 9th place, because if Lewis Rose did get into the lead and Aaron Rose was in 3rd place, if Russell overtook him and put him down to 4th place, that would decide the championship. I don't think he'd like that, but then at the same time, if he didn't overtake him, you're kind of deciding the championship as well. Very tricky. Oh, Stone Island. That is a very unique mistake from one of the most consistent drivers. He's done brilliantly this season, has Van Nylen, and was in a comfortable 4th place. But with that spin, that pretty much means that that Barnes will be up into 4th place, because he was much closer than that before the pit stops. Meanwhile, Billy Fletcher into the pits. Maybe this is the limit of how long the fuel goes, and Fletcher, leading for the whole race, punching a hole into the air, has had to make an earlier pit stop than his teammates.
Yeah, well, interesting. We're just over the middle of the race, aren't we? As O'Donnell Lines comes in, but yeah, he has been running out front, hasn't he? So, very possible that he's used up a lot more fuel than have the Rose brothers. But I would expect to see them. Well, it'll be interesting to see what they do when they come around next time, won't it? It'll be interesting to see if we get a 1-1 or if they both dive into the pits or both stay out.
Yeah, I wonder if Aaron might be able to stretch this out an extra lap just because he's been on the tail of Lewis for this past kind of 10 minutes, so close, and maybe saving a bit of fuel. Um, but even if he doesn't do the extra lap, I assume he'll have to put less fuel into the car, so it could be all change here. These guys trying to play in some good times.
Whoa.
Billy Fletcher out into cleaner, so not too bad for Fletcher on that one.
Lewis had a little bit of a moment there in Cups.
Yeah, track extending a bit more. Fortunate not to get a slowdown. If you do push it too far, you will get a slowdown, and quite a costly one at that. To Kairos cars. Apologies, no, this is Coates. Oh, that's an ambitious move. Come on, guys. May as well stay behind. That would be unnecessary there for Coates because these guys aren't just racing against one another, they're also racing against the drivers who have already come into the pits. So it's probably worth just staying behind for a little bit and then trying to get it done in the pit stop as the race leaders have continued round again. So it seems like the fuel can go a bit further, and every lap that they can extend this, it's looking slightly better for the Rose brothers.
I would expect to maybe see Coates attempt his pass at the section of the track where they were, just because I believe that's where he made a pass previously, so you would think he would feel pretty confident there, although we have also seen him go around there in that section of the track as well, I believe.
Yes, yeah, into Brooklands and Luffield. Certainly one of the best places to go for. Maybe you can see the DRS boards right in the background. I do absolutely love this. So I mainly visited here. Actually, I've visited here loads of times, but I've only seen the Formula One here once. But that section,
Oh
of
dear.
course, is absolutely incredible. As Emil Vinbay has had another spin, that is his third off, and well, his last one was about half an hour ago, so it looked like he got rid of those mistakes. But that is quite a costly one. It means that Knight and Coates move ahead, and Coates now up into 4th position. Nice work there, and that is into Brooklands, where we thought that maybe Aaron Rose would make the move on Lewis Rose, and Coates up into 4th, and we'll be looking for the cars ahead. He's 8 seconds behind Ben Nyland, and he will be 8 seconds behind Barnes once he makes his pit stop. But Knight doing pretty well up there in 5th position, as we see Bembic go for a little bit of a battle now. And this is with Dan Ocaranza. You can see Dan, I think, attending every single round of the championship, being a loyal servant to the series from Argentina, and he's running in 15th place at the moment.
Well, I must apologize. I said at the beginning of the race that we probably wouldn't see the leaders catching back markers on account of the size, sort of Silverstone, but I believe the Rose brothers have just made a pass on McLennan there in P16, so they are dealing with the rear of the field now, and they will soon catch Bembic and Ocarenza.
Oh, that's an off. Who's that? McLennan.
Oh dear.
Lots of run up there. A gravel trap. I don't think I've ever seen a car crash there. I may be wrong.
Well, he was saying before the race that he doesn't like the McLaren at this track. If I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that and telling tales out of school, but so maybe he's lacking in a little bit of confidence in terms of this car, this track combo.
Yeah, I would have thought that. Again, I need to make it clear to the viewers. I'm not 100% sure on the characteristics of these GT3 cars, but I do know for a fact that McLaren's strength is the straights and its weakness is the corners. Just wonder maybe if it's a bit of an oversteering car, and so around these long sweepers and particularly those high-speed corners at Abbey, the car is struggling to stay planted. Then down into 16th place. That is where he was before. He's that bit further back from Bembic and Carranza now. The two leaders are still going. I'm surprised they've been able to go this long. I was expecting maybe 36, 37 minutes because this is by far the highest fuel consumption circuit of the season. I believe at least. Again, I say that with authority when I'm not 100% sure, but obviously it is a very quick circuit, and so you're on the throttle for a longer time, but at the same time, there are a lot of sweepers, so you don't waste a whole lot of energy. Lewis Rose, interestingly, going for the extra lap. So I thought Aaron would be able to go further, but no, it's Lewis who has gone further. And with the early pit stop, remember, Fletcher pitted first of these three. He had a 2-second lead over the two of them when Fletcher came into the pits, but Fletcher's lap times haven't quite matched up to that, and also his pit stop was a bit longer. So I think, Jim, that Aaron Rose will probably have the slight advantage when he comes out of the pits. I think Fletcher will just be short.
Well, it will be interesting to see what Lewis can do on this particular lap. You know, if he turns in 159, maybe he gains himself a second. He does have a little bit of clear air there. It looks like Alcaranza and Bembic are ahead of him on track, and I guess he'll probably catch them going down the old straight to toward Cops here, maybe. But here comes Aaron Rose out of the pit. Was not in there very long, was he?
Yeah, and Billy Fletcher, though, staying ahead. I'm surprised Fletcher stayed ahead. Rose was stationary for 2.9 seconds shorter. The gap when they came into the pits was about 2.9 seconds, and yet he's still a second short. So I really thought that Rose, who was playing in some good lap times, was going to get the jump on Billy Fletcher. But no, it hasn't turned out to be the case. So it's still Fletcher with the effective lead, as we see. Oh no, Braden Coates. Oh, it was going well for Coates, wasn't it? I don't think that'll cost him a position. I think he'll remain in 5th place, or effective 5th place. It's getting confusing now with some drivers pitting and some drivers not pitting, but I think he'll stay in effective 5th place, but that is a shame for him. Stays ahead of Billy Fletcher and Aaron Rose. However, as Lewis Rose, I imagine, is about to come into the pits, and this is the moment of truth where he's going to win this race, surely, because so far we haven't seen a change for the lead. We've seen a change for second and third, but we haven't seen a change for the lead. Aaron Rose gets it stopped, and yeah, this will be a very quick pit stop. It will be mega close, I think, between him and Billy Fletcher and Aaron Rose.
It's got to be maddening for him right now, just as he's driving down this pit lane going. It must feel like he is absolutely crawling.
Van Nylen into the pits as well. Rose quite far down the pit lane because, of course, he was third place in qualifying. Gets it stopped well. And he needs to be stationary for about 15 seconds. If he's stationary for less than 15 seconds, then he should have the lead. Any more than 15, and he might be in trouble. 14.2. This might be enough here for Lewis Rose, who now puts his foot down. Coming out of the pit lane, Billy Fletcher is going through the first corner, and it is enough for Lewis Rose to get ahead, and by 1.2 seconds. So that slightly shorter pit stop was worth it. He was 4 seconds shorter in the pit lane, was Lewis Rose, and he has got the race win. And even if he doesn't win the championship from here, which it doesn't look like he's going to, Aaron Rose would need to finish in 4th place for him to win the championship, Lewis. But even if he doesn't win the championship, this race win, should he consolidate this with 16 minutes to go, will be very satisfying.
Still tantalizingly close. I mean, you know, if Aaron has a little bit of a bobble, you know, Van Nylen manages to get around him. I mean, a 20-second gap is pretty significant, but, you know, anything could happen. Yeah, as I say, tantalizingly close for Lewis Rose. But, yeah, a well-managed pit strategy for him there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was judged to... judged very well for Lewis Rose. I can't. Interestingly, he was stationary for 1 second shorter than Aaron Rose was Lewis Rose. So wonder if he's got a little bit less fuel. Maybe you'll have to do a little bit of fuel conservation. So certainly watch on the white flag at the final lap of the race. There you can see he put less fuel in than anyone else did this race. So he's definitely on the limit. So if he's lifting and coasting, don't be surprised, I imagine. I'm very surprised that Russell Barnes is up into 4th place because remember, Barnes was about 5 seconds behind Van Nylen before the pit stops. And then Van Nylen had a spin. I really thought that Barnes would move ahead of him on that one, but he hasn't. So maybe I'll have a chat with him later on. Maybe I've just read that wrong. But yeah, Barnes in 5th place when I thought he'd move up into 4th before his pit stop. But still 5th place, very good considering he started back in 17th.
Yes, absolutely. And he has, of course, had his pit stop, so that is his sort of his true place. Although I guess everybody has pitted now, haven't they?
Yeah, it seems like kind of 43 minutes was the maximum on fuel. Getting close between Knight and Coates again. These guys have battled each other time and time and time again. I think this is round 3 because Coates obviously had that spin round Luffields, which held him back, lost him that place. I didn't think that Coates would lose that place, but it turns out that he did lose too much and Knight did get ahead. But Coates is looking faster. He goes for the meat. He's very shallow. You'll do well not to hit him. He blinks out his connection. I think saved him there. Otherwise, they could have well made contact. Now it's Knight who's running in deep, and he loses that place. Coates up into 6th.
Yeah, a sort of a ragged pass there, although Coates was able to get it done. Knight now all over the back of him as they head down. Oh, into that Brooklands where we've seen so many cars have incidents over the course of the race. Knight gets the spot back from Coates for the time being, but Coates will surely come back at him one more time. I would guess, as you say, we've seen these cars battling a whole lot for the race so far. I would guess Coates' best next chance would be trying to make something happen into Stowe, although he has a little look here headed into Maggots.
We've seen so many side-by-sides going into Maggots today. It's not a traditional overtaking spot, and it hasn't really worked, to be fair, on the most part for the shows, but it's very rare that you see it, but it's always spectacular because you can't see the cars approaching. You know that one of them's going to have to blink, but sometimes they don't, and sometimes it ends very badly. I've seen plenty of incidents down there, but good to see the drivers really aggressive, and at the same time, really haven't really been any contacts between the drivers so far today. There's been a few mistakes, but there haven't been any big contacts. So yeah, great driving from the guys tonight, and yeah, really testament to what we've seen this season. O'Donnell Line's not too far behind these guys. He's been a bit slower than these guys as O'Donnell Lines. He was ahead of them earlier on in the race, but then kind of dropped back. But he's actually started catching up as Coates is going to go the long way round at Abbey. Just has to drop out of it. He's still got 12 more minutes to go. But with all this battling, O'Donnell Lines is rapidly catching up. Now around the outside, Game Coates driving it in deep, but using that anti-lock braking system to move ahead. Takes a bit of curb and then he almost spins the car. Now he's shallow again, and this almost spelled disaster for him on the last lap. Just about stays ahead. Now he tries to cover off the inside. He doesn't do enough. And it's Knight. He has the inside for Brooklands. Might be the outside that you want though, because then that turns into the inside for Luffield. And the Audi R8 moving ahead into Luffield. And Coates up into 6th place. And now he starts to pull away. He had to work hard for that one, but he's up into 6th place finally.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. We haven't seen any real big contacts today, which is great. I mean, these drivers all know each other pretty well, and of course, this is a series for. Ooh, that was a very wide approach to cops there on the part of Knight. But yeah, no big contacts, which is great.
I'm waiting for the curse. We both said it, so it's going to be a 10-car wreck coming up. But yeah, so far it is all right. By the way, just a reminder of why we are racing. This is a promotional series and events for the Finding Speeds YouTube channel and website, uh, organized by Russell Barnes, who designs iRacing setups for various cars, and so also does a kind of driver instructional videos. So if you want to get involved in Finding Speed, go to the findingspeed.com website and also subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Many of you will be watching already on the Finding Speed YouTube channel, but if you're watching on Apex Racing 2, go check out the Finding Speed YouTube channel because Russell does plenty of tutorials on there. Live streams quite a few races as well, and also Russell is designing setups in for the IMSA Sports Car Series over this 2020 Season 1 for the BMW M8. So if you're looking to get any setups for that or any of the ghost laps where you can compare your driving lines to Russell's driving lines, certainly do check out Finding Speed. Russell's done an awesome job with the league, and also his website's pretty nice as well, very user friendly. So certainly do check out all of that, and also check out the Discord as well, because there'll be an American tour happening in a few months' time, or in a few weeks' time, potentially, not quite sure. So check out that one as well. Will sure be some good racing if you want to take part in that series. Go to the Discord, and then you can see when the entry details are made available. There's Russell Barnes out in 5th place at the moment. Back out in the lead though, 6/10 of a second between the top two. Lewis Rose versus Billy Fletcher, and Aaron Rose staying close with them as it gets continually darker. And these headlights are pretty necessary now for these drivers. They will really be able to see exactly where they're going if they didn't have them.
Yeah, just to add, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to be back in March with Season 2 American Classics. A new team and new pro and amateur classing system. So there will be, some more racing for place up and down the timing tower, which will be fantastic because, they're going to have some very big fields for that series, I have a feeling. Currently 500 members of the Discord and growing fast, says Russell. So I have every reason to believe that next season is going to be even bigger and even more fun than this one.
Yeah, it has been, because we broadcast a lot of series on Apex Racing TV, and certainly in the past we broadcast a lot of, well, not very good ones, which haven't quite worked. But considering that this
Are
is
you
quite
talking about my series? How dare you?
No, of course not. No, by the way, if you want to do any promotion for your brilliant Formula Proc series, which is a legendary series, best format that I'm aware of with the different cars. It is absolute genius the way that you put that together. But considering that the format for this, in comparison to Formula Procs, is very simple, the other end of the spectrum, I think. It's impressive that he's been able to get he's been able to get quite as much support for this series. So yeah, well done to us on that one. Yeah, half second now. It's gone down by another 10th on this lap. Billy Fletcher not quite close enough yet to really make any jabs yet.
Yeah, these drivers have really turned in an absolutely a great race. We did see a little bit of a bobble, didn't we, from Aaron Rose? If I'm not mistaken, that was him. Had a little bit of a braking issue into Brooklands on one of the earlier laps. But, this is 3 drivers who've run very close together, and it's just been a matter of preference of driving, hasn't it? There hasn't been any there haven't been this sort of unforced errors that we've seen. If the rest of the field will forgive me, we've seen a few unforced errors up and down the timing tower. But these guys are it's steely-eyed determination between these drivers.
Yeah, there's the error from Aaron, wasn't there, into Brooklands, but yeah, that's been about it for the entire race, considering that these guys have been pushing 100% all the way. That is really impressive. By the way, you may be thinking, what's happened to Emil Vimbo? Why is he down in 12th place, 1 minute 20 off the lead? Well, he had a very long pit stop. He lost 30 seconds in the pit stall. Must have sped on pit entry or something, and so that is why he lost quite as much time. Otherwise, he'd be having a tasty battle, I imagine, with kind of Braden Coates, Jack Knights, EJ Donald Lyons, Mark Chanter, kind of that region. But unfortunately, he's a bit further back, albeit he is catching up to Matt Jackson very quickly, so he could salvage a top 11. This is getting closer and closer. Honestly, it was 6 tenths. It was then 4.5 tenths on that last lap. Now it's down to 3 tenths on this lap. Fletcher can't get a whole lot closer than this. He needs to start making some moves. It's 3.5 tenths. But these guys are so respectful, but at the same time, they have been quite aggressive. Particularly the two Rose brothers were very aggressive earlier on. Billy just loses a little bit of time through Vale. But he's well in the draft. He's yeah, got to do something here in order to get the track position.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. If you're running along with your teammate here, do you try like a Hail Mary elbows out sort of a pass on the last race of the season and risk going around yourself or sending somebody else around? This is Knight on O'Donnell Lines, or O'Donnell Lines on Knight, excuse me, into Stowe. Seems like they're running pretty slow there.
Yes, Kyle, you go ahead. No, you go ahead. And O'Donnell Lyons is now ahead. I think that was Knight kind of waving him on by, albeit, come on guys, it's the last 4 minutes of the season. Defend a little bit. Just throw some weaves. We are slightly biased. We literally just want to see crashes. That's the reason why we're here. So you and the drivers are too good. They have been doing that all race long. But yeah, O'Donnell Lyons up into 7th place. A weird race between these two actually, because early on it looked like Knight was faster, and then since the pit stop, it seems like O'Donnell Lyons has been faster. Then he misses the corner. He's going to drive that one in as well. But if the tyres are going off, it really seems to be a lot of understeer. These GC3 tyres do usually last quite long. You know, you can often double stint when it comes to the endurance races, but this Silverstone circuit obviously does chew up the tyres quite a bit. But staying ahead there is O'Donnell Lyons. I think he should be able to hang on to that position in the future. A reminder that, of course, going into this round of the championship, Aaron Rose had a 6-point lead over Lewis Rose in the championship. It's 2 points between each position for the top 10 places, and so pretty much Lewis needed to beat Aaron by 3 places in order to win the championship. At the moment, he is only 2 places ahead, so if it ends like this, Aaron Rose will win the championship by 2 points. It will be something like, oh, as we've got Vinbo off again. He just got past Jackson as well, but he's going to have to catch up to him again. Vinbo down into 12th place. But yeah, if it ends like this, I think it will be Lewis Rose on 138 points and Aaron Rose on 140 points. One of the closest championships I've certainly ever broadcasted. So that's how close it is. But Aaron Rose looking very secure in that 3rd place, as in fact he's actually dropped off as the top 2 battle out.
Yeah, absolutely. And as much as, you know, these guys have been at the sharp end of the field all season long, but they're not the only drivers that we've seen contending for podium positions and even for the lead. You know, I mean, Fletcher's been right up there the whole race long. So while the Rose brothers are at the top of the championship standings, it's really has been anybody's game all season long. And, you know, if you're looking for a good series to get into, I got to say, I think this would be a good spot. And by the way, the website address is findingspeed.in. So.
Is it? Okay. Good points on that one. I searched findingspeed.com and it came up. So I don't know. Maybe they're different websites. Or I've just gone on a random person's website. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about now. Vinbo, he's got past Jackson. That was quick, wasn't it? I do feel as though the Lambos must have an advantage in the dark because they've got like
that huge light.
Yeah, they've got like a floodlight attached to the front of the car. So he's up into 11th place because he can see where he's going. Well, that's the least that Vinbo should be. Honestly, Vinbo should have been 4th place in this race. If he didn't make the spins, then he would have definitely been in up for 4th place. Maybe even battling with the leads. He has been very quick tonight. But yeah, just missing just a few too many mistakes.
So findingspeed.com is also right.
Aha, cool.
So I led you astray, and I apologize.
It's no problem. It's no problem. Final lap of the season. Fletcher. I mean, it's been close, hasn't it? But hasn't really shown any sign of getting past that last lap. He lost 8/100ths of a second. Fletcher, who of course got pole position by less than 1,000th of a second. He is he's desperately trying to catch up to Lewis right now, but yeah, it seems like maybe his luck's just run out in this race.
Yeah, well, it kind of came down to the pit strategy, didn't it? I mean, Lewis Rose really just played his pit strategy like a fiddle, and I think it's going to lead to a win for him unless Fletcher is able to pull out a positively heroic final lap, which is not outside the bounds of possibility. Wow, a very interesting line through maggots there.
Yeah, slightly alternative. I think Fletcher's trying to just drive it in a bit deep, maybe post rifle off his course. Less than 3
Look at him
tenths, he's
flashing.
flashing the lights. He's trying everything to Billy Fletcher. Remember, the two Grace brothers have won every round so far this season, and he's going to go for it. Billy Fletcher down the inside, and he's got it stopped. This is remarkable to finish this findingspeed.com UK tour. Surely Rose is going to come back. He's not going to be able to come back. And Billy Fletcher, I thought he was sleeping behind. He's going to take his first race win of the season. Billy Fletcher wins at Silverstone. Oh, that was absolutely brilliant. That was a cat pouncing on a fish right there. Aaron Rose, though, finishes in 3rd place, and that means that Aaron Rose has won his findingspeed.com GT3 UK score. Congratulations to Aaron Rose. He wins the championship by 4 points. It was by a slim margin. That move from Fletcher didn't decide the championship by any means, but it is Aaron Rose who wins the title. Congratulations to him. And he had to work hard for it. Finishes on the podium in every single round of the championship. Behind, we've got Knight versus Tranter. Knight struggling in the closing stages, and it's going to be Tranter, just as Fletcher did, trying to get past his teammate on the final lap at Stowe. And Knight, though, with the better line, Tranter always has to turn out of the corner. Knight wasn't making the corner there, and in fact he's actually going to give the position up, so Knight will finish in 9th place. Tranter, after a dreadful start, finishes in 8th, and McIntosh will round out the 10th position at this final race of the season. Word though for Aaron Rose, Jim, he has been mega consistent. Like I said, I think before this round he finished in the top 2. No, I think he had. He's finished in 3rd place before. Yeah, so I think he ends the season with 2 wins, 1 second place, and 2 third places, which is remarkable consistency. And it's that consistency which has yielded him the title, despite not winning as many races as, despite winning as many races as Lewis Rose, winning no more races than Lewis Rose, and Rose has become the champion.
Yeah, well, it's been a great season all season long. It's kind of in this position, in this sort of hindsight is 2020 sort of position. It seems like Aaron Rose was maybe destined to win all along, but that's really not what we saw. Enjoying every race of this series, it could have been any of these drivers, including some drivers that weren't with us today. So congratulations to him. Great racing to all these guys. A great series. I've just enjoyed the hell out of it.
It's been a lot of fun to cover this one. Dan Okoranza, the final driver, was he on the lead lap, Okoranza? I think he was 1 lap down in the end. No, he was on the lead lap. Well done to Dan. I think that's the first time he's finished on the lead lap this season, so congrats to him. So we can go through the final order. Billy Fletcher wins out for the first time this season, and it's what he deserves. For the first time, he was faster than the Rose brothers. I think you got to say. So congrats to him. Lewis Rose finishes in second place. I wonder if he was saving fuel by the end. Will certainly be interesting to get a chat with him later on. Aaron Rose finishes in third place. Then was Steinman Nyland in fourth. Russell Barnes, brilliant result, best result of the season for him in fifth. Brian Coates was in sixth. Then 1 minute down was EJ Donald Lyons. Mark Trent was in 8th, Jack Knight in ninth, and Jim McIntosh rounding out the top 10. Behind that was Emil Vinbay, Matt Jackson, Igor Bembik, Dan Okoranza. 1 lap down was Luke Davis and John McLennan, and 2 laps down was Alexander Rockenbach, who does score points. So good news for him. Also, very rare that you have a race an hour long and everyone finishes. There are faster pairs for the drivers, but usually a couple pull out. So nice dedication there from the drivers to stick around to the end of the race. And so we are going to have some interviews with the drivers for the final time this season. And I want to drag up Aaron Rose because, Aaron, we say with 90% certainty you are the champion for this Finding Speed UK tour. We believe you entered the final race 6 points clear, and Lewis only outscored you by 2 points tonight. So you win the championship by 4 points by our calculations. So well done. How does it feel? It seems as though you didn't realise that you'd won the championship.
No, I'm over the moon with it. I had no idea. Obviously, we knew the standings going in, but I'm not too sure of if there's a drop round or anything like that. So, yeah, I have no idea on the championship order, but hopefully you're right.
Well, now you put a bit of doubt into my mind as well, because you're right. There is one drop week, and I don't think we had taken that into consideration.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know how that influences anything. I think it may be that we've ended up on evens.
Perhaps so. Well, I think a good man to ask in this situation is Russell Barnes, as we're in absolute anarchy in Apex Racing TV right now. Russell, can you give us any clarification when it comes to the championship right now?
We need to calculate the drop week, which hasn't happened yet. It can't happen right now. I need to go and do the maths, basically. So we're gonna know imminently, but not in time for the broadcast. Sorry, guys.
No problem. Well, Aaron, it was still a very entertaining race for yourself. Talk us through qualifying, because, I mean, could you just believe your eyes when you saw that you were second place by a 10,000th of a second, it seemed?
Yeah, it was so close. And as you saw during the race, it was also so very close during, over the race distance as well. So that's just how it is between me, Lewis, and Billy. We're always very close on the track. It makes for good racing.
Yeah, it sure does. And then there was the strategy situation. I thought that you were going to be able to go longer than Lewis, because you were behind him. I thought maybe you were in the draft and maybe saving a bit of fuel, but then you pitted 1 lap early. I mean, is that like a car difference then between like the Merc and the Lambo, or was that just tactical, or was it just maybe you were using more fuel?
I think it's Merc drinks fuel, basically, because I was lifting on the straights quite early on in the race, and I think the Lambo is just a bit more frugal, but it is what it is. I was so close to being able to go the extra lap, but I just had to play it safe, so obviously that dropped me back a bit in the pit stop phase, I think. But it was incredible how Billy came out ahead, because he stopped maybe 2 or 3 laps earlier, so I wasn't expecting him to jump us in the pits, but yeah, no, it was really good from those guys. So
yeah, I must say I was surprised as well, because your pit stop was shorter, but yeah, Billy putting some good laps, it seemed to stay ahead. It's been a fantastic season for yourself, 2 race wins. I mean, is there a moment that really stands out?
Yeah, my race wins, Snetterton and Brands Hatch, I think it was. It's nice to see how the different cars work at different tracks. I think at Brands Hatch the Mercedes was very good. Snetterton, it was also very easy to drive. Here it was a bit more difficult. It just doesn't have the traction out the slow corners. So, but yeah, over the course of the season, I think it was a yeah, really close championship. So hopefully be back for the next one.
Absolutely. Well, big thanks for having a chat with us, Aaron. Best of luck that you've won the championship.
Yeah.
Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Just a big thanks to the Luxim guys. Billy obviously runs the team and he helps us a lot with the setups, and not necessarily in the championship, but various other championships. And yeah, it's those guys really.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Aaron. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you back soon on Apex Racing TV.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So Aaron Rose there, third place finisher tonight, and might be the championship. Oh no, oh no. Well, we can say who the champion is. I feel very embarrassed. I feel genuinely bad because you know the Oscars a few years back when they had the wrong ticket, and I think it was like Moonlight and La La Land, I think. And there was yeah, a few other things as well. Well, it turns out that Lewis Rose is the champion. He is the champion. So despite being overtaken on the last corner by Billy Fletcher, he didn't need it after all. So Lewis Rose has won the championship. That is confirmed by Russell Barnes. Congratulations to Lewis Rose. Jim, would you like to have a chat with him?
Yeah, absolutely. Just drag him in here. There he is. Lewis, congratulations on not only on your performance today, but your win of the championship. How are you feeling?
Yeah, pretty good. It was a good last race. Way to end the championship. Between the three of us, I think we were quite close throughout the race. I think one of us was really lucky not to get fired across the circuit into the wall. But yeah, really good last race.
Yeah, well, you guys showed a lot of pace on track, but also a lot of respect for one another. Did you, were you having a look at the sort of the championship standings before you started the race today? What was going through your mind?
To be honest, after Snetterton, I thought me and Aaron were close to tied, if not him being in front. I always knew that from the first round of the season, I had a bit of a nightmare at Brands, that was my drop score. And after that, I think I'd had a couple of wins in a second. So I knew I kind of just had to beat Aaron to guarantee it, because if he would have beaten me tonight, I think it would have been his championship. So when he then out-qualified me, it was a little bit, I don't know what to do from here. But yeah, really good race in the end. And it was unfortunate for Aaron because it was just a small mistake, I think, that put him behind me. He was quicker than me at a period in the race. And I think my mirrors were full of Mercedes.
Yeah. Well, he did have a little bit of a mistake there at Brooklands, I think, and went a little bit deep, locked up the car and went a little bit deep under braking. And that did seem to a little bit kind of break his spirit, didn't it?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, he was still on my case. I think it's weird with the Lamborghini. I think confidence in the brakes is sort of one of the weaknesses for me with that car, and the Lambo feels like it's gonna kill me. It's gonna spin. So I think I was just like overly tentative on the brakes, and he completely caught me out. Because I don't even think he was sort of all that close. It probably caught him out, if anything. The fact that I was so early on the brakes, and it turned out to be a good pass and a bit of a snatch and grab. Although Billy, I think, had been quicker than me up to that point, sort of slowly closing the margin down. But I wasn't sure what the implications were for the championship at that point. It was a little bit like, have I just thrown it away 2 corners from the end of the race?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that must have been going through your mind. But it was certainly a great show for us, and turned into quite a nail biter at the end. And, I apologize for sort of skipping over the pit strategy, which was certainly an interesting part of the race. But yeah, the being here for the whole series has been great. So you must feel pretty accomplished. Yeah,
and we're looking forward to coming back again next year. Obviously, I don't know where the circuits are going to be, but doing the UK circuits has been quite good because you don't really get to use them too much. And we're all UK based, so it's nice for us to get some use out of that content.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it has been a ton of fun. Congratulations, as I say. Any final thoughts for us?
No, just thanks for putting the series on. It's a really good quality stream, and it's all much appreciated. I'm going to enjoy watching this one back, I think, similar to Alton.
Yeah, well, we certainly hope so. Thanks so much, Lewis Rose, your P2 finisher today, but series champion. We'll hope to see you back in some more racing in March.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, guys.
Lewis Rose there. Yeah, as Jim said, you're a champion for this season. We're going to have a quick word with Billy Fletcher because we also want to have a word as well with Russell Barnes before we end. But he is our race winner. Billy Fletcher, congratulations. Long time coming. You've got a few podiums this season, but finally got that race win, and in what style?
I know. Do you know what? There's a bit of a miscommunication between me and Lewis regarding our setup, and I accidentally started the race with only 68 litres in the car, and we didn't actually realise until the lap before I pitted, and it was a bit like, oh, that's it, race win's gone, because obviously I'm going to take an extra 20 odd litres, 10 litres odd in the pit stop, but qualifying laps, and I managed to come out close to Lewis, and to send it on the last lap, he wasn't quite expecting it, I don't think.
I mean, it was pretty crazy because we saw you come in. I thought, okay, that's just how far the fuel goes, and then we saw the others continue, and you were in the pits, I think, for 2 seconds longer than Aaron, I think, and yet you still managed to stay ahead of him. I mean, it was very impressive. I mean, what was the difference between tonight and the previous rounds? Because so far this season you've usually been maybe quarter of a second behind those guys, but tonight you just had a tenth on them. What was the difference?
It's, to be fair, so Lewis and Aaron actually both race in the UK Honda Civic Type R's, and it seems when we're on the European style tracks, I'm usually faster than Aaron and Lewis, but when we get to the UK tracks, it just seems that little bit of real life experience that they've both got, they always have just a touch of an edge on me. But Silverstone isn't sort of like most of the UK tracks, say like Alton, Donington, Brands, etc. So I think it kind of swayed a bit more my way in regards to just being a bit better suited to the tracks than the other tracks, really.
Well, it was certainly an awesome performance tonight, Billy. Is there anyone you'd like to give any thanks to?
Yeah, man, to the Luxim, Sim Stickers, Moody Falls, Solitaire, the new sponsors on board for the car. Obviously to you guys for broadcasting this and making it a fantastic watch back, and then to Russell for organising all of this.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Billy, and we will see you back on Apex Racing TV very soon, I hope.
Yeah, fingers crossed, guys. Chat to you soon.
Billy Fletcher there, your race winner and third place in the championship for this season. Jim, would you like to have a chat with our league organizer, Russell Barnes?
Absolutely. Russell, are you there? Here he is. Well,
Hey,
Russell,
guys.
first of all, let me say thank you so much for this series. This has been an absolute pleasure. You've got to be pleased with how it's turned out.
Yeah, really, really pleased. I've had an absolute blast. It's been really, really good fun, and thanks to you guys for doing such a great job in the commentary box and with the broadcast. It's been it's been everything I hoped it would be. It's been really, really cool.
I don't know if you heard me saying it, but I have an idea for a drinking game where every time you take a place from the rear of the grid, people take a small drink because there are going to be quite a lot of them. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I think I've actually feel like I've been quite lucky, really. Tonight was particularly good because there was some real action sort of mid-race. But yeah, I've been quite lucky with the overtakes. I think really, I think I've got away with a lot. But yeah, there's good opportunity for getting drunk. That was my best finish tonight as well, 5th. So I was, obviously the number of drivers on the starting grid helped that a lot. But yeah, I'm really pleased with that.
Yeah, well, you usually do turn into you look very composed on track. It doesn't seem to just one of those cars that doesn't seem to mind traffic at all. So it doesn't surprise me to see you climb places as you do. But hey, congratulations on a P5 finish. Although as we were saying just during the race, we have no doubt that you'd finish even higher if you were trying to win your own series, which you're not.
I'm pretty confident that Lewis and Aaron would still kick my ass. But it'll be fun. I think another time, maybe next maybe next season we'll change it up a bit, and we'll see what happens. But yes, actually, next season, March is the plan. We're going to go to America for American Classics. I don't know if you guys have mentioned it yet or not, but that is the plan. So if you're keen, come and join the Discord. It's in the chat, it's in the description, and we'll give you a shout when it's coming around.
Yeah, we've been going on about it all night. We're absolutely beside ourselves. Can you give us any, do you have any, I'm sure you do, but do you want to reveal any of the tracks that you're planning to go to?
Well, we're definitely going to the biggest and the best tracks. So you can expect to see tracks like Watkins Glen. You can expect to see Sebring. I don't want to give much more away. We might throw in a curveball or two, but you know, it's the big tracks. I'd be amazed if we didn't go to Road Atlanta. You know, so I think it's going to be, you know, really cool. And we're going to sort of switch up a little bit as well. We'll have a team championship, and we're going to split out to have like a pro and an amateur category, so people can still race and score good points, you know, in their own category. And I think that will really help keep it exciting.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's a great move. And you know, since I only live about 40 minutes away, I will be just devastated if Road Atlanta is not included.
One of my favorite tracks, actually.
Oh yeah, great track. Although, I mean, we love them all, don't we? Well, Russell, thanks again for a great season, a great series, a great race tonight. I don't know what to say other than thanks and congratulations, and we can't wait to do this some more.
Yeah, thanks guys. It's been a real blast, and I appreciate all your hard work. It's been epic.
Well, there he is, the man to whom we owe so many thanks for all of this. Sam, it has been an absolute ball, hasn't it?
It really has been. A fantastic season put on by Russell. And of course, as you were saying, you know, join the Finding Speed Discord, and also check out the Finding Speed YouTube channel as well, and the website as well. So, big thanks to Jim for setting this all up. Big thanks to the drivers for taking part, and of course, a massive congratulations to Lewis Rose for becoming the champion. Apologies to Aaron Rose. I feel genuinely quite bad about hinting that he'd won the title, but it is Lewis Rose who has taken it, we believe, on tied scores as well. So a remarkable finish to the season, which has certainly done the championship justice. Hopefully we'll see the Finding Speed series back soon, but of course on Apex Racing TV we've got loads of other series starting up. We've already got like 10 odd series every week, and we've also got ARLTC starting up on Thursday, which will be very exciting, and lots of other series as well going on Apex Racing TV. So make sure to subscribe to this channel, Apex Racing TV, and subscribe to Finding Speed as well. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Jim Hodgson, and from Sam Kumo, we are going to say goodbye. The Finding Speed a GT3 League UK Tour is to a close, and it is Aaron Rose who has become your champion. We'll see you back very soon.